Little Fiocla suddenly frowns and rubs her neck vigorously. Her brother looks at her neck and sees a big swelling on it. Hey, hey, laughs the cobbler. Do you know where you got that from? Fiocla, old girl. There are Spanish flies on some tree in the wood. The rain has trickled off them and a drop has fallen on your neck. That's what has made the swelling. So what was the reason for the swelling? The drop of water from the Spanish flies had fallen on her, which made the swelling. The sun appears from behind the clouds and floods the woods, the fields, and the three friends with its warm light. So what is happening? The sun is rising and it is flooding. What do you mean by flooding? So here, flooding meaning that it is filling the wood. It is filling the woods. That means the forest and the fields and the three friends with its warm light. The dark menacing cloud has gone far away and taken the storm with it. Why did we call that cloud menacing? That means dangerous, right? Menacing or disturbing. Disturbing clouds because it is bringing all the heavy rain. The menacing cloud has gone far away, taking along with it the storm. The air is very warm and fragrant. What do you mean by fragrant? Nice, pleasant smell. Fragrance means pleasant smell. There is a scent of bird cherry, meadow sweet, and lilies of the valley. So these are the things which made the atmosphere filled with fragrance. That herb is given when your nose bleeds, says Terendi, pointing to a woolly looking flower. It does good. So he has knowledge about pretty much everything in the forest or in the surroundings. So he is telling that a woolen flower, like the flower is looking like wool, it is good when somebody's nose is bleeding. You can use it as a cure. So he has knowledge about the herbs, the flowers and everything, its uses. They hear a whistle and a rumble, but not such a rumble as the storm clouds carried away. So they are hearing a rumble sound, but it is quite different from the rumble sound which made all the thunders. A good strain races by before the eyes of Terendi, Danilka and Fiocla. So what was passing by? A train. The engine, panting and puffing out black smoke, drags more than 20 vans after it. So there is a goods train which is carrying 20 bogies or 20 vans after it. Its power is tremendous. Tremendous means enormous power or great power. The children are interested to know how an engine, not alive and without the help of horses, can move and drag such weights, and Terendi undertakes to explain it to them. So I already told you that the children are very curious. So they would like to know now that they cannot find a horse over there or a person dragging it. Then how come this heavy goods train is moving? So they are very curious to know how an engine is moving and carrying the heavy load of weight. It is all the steam's doing, children. The steam does the work. You see, it shoves under that thing near the wheels and it works. So underline the word shoves. That means pushes away. So Terendi is explaining that it is a steam engine, which is making the train move forward. And you can see between the wheels there is a piston which is being moved by the pressure of the steam. Okay, so he is explaining the function of a steam engine to the children. They cross the railway line and going down from the embankment walk towards the river. So now they are walking towards the river. So you can visualize all these things. I already told you in this lesson there is a wonderful thing that all our sense organs are engaged in one way or the other. Either you can see or you can hear or you can smell. So far we were telling about the lilies of the valleys, the fragrant smell. So you are able to smell, right? The rain, the smell of the rain, the smell of the flowers. So our sense organs are working when we read this particular lesson. Now we could imagine or visualize the steam engine passing by. The puffed smoke the smoke emitted by the train. So all these things are coming in front of our eyes when we visualize. Now you have to visualize that they are walking towards a river, a beautiful river. It is up to your imagination whether you can, if you want, you can imagine a deep river or you can imagine a shallow river, right? So I'm leaving it to your imagination. So these children and Terendi are moving towards the river. They walk not with any object but just at random and talk all the way. So what do you mean by any object? They do not have any objective or aim. They do not know where to go. They do not have a specific aim to go. They just, whichever road they take, they just walk inside, and that makes their way. So they do not have a particular object. They just walk by randomly and they keep talking on their way. Danilka asks questions, Terendi answers them. So that's what they do. Danilka is very curious. He keeps asking questions and Terendi is answering all of it. Terendi answers all his questions, and there is no secret in nature which baffles him. Underline the word baffles, which means confuses or puzzles. So Terendi knows everything. He is not scared of getting any question from Danilka because he has a ready-made answer already, because of getting along with nature for quite a while. He knows everything. Thus, for example, he knows the names of all wild flowers, animals and stones. He knows what herbs cures diseases. He has no difficulty in telling the age of a horse or a cow. Looking at the sunset, at the moon or the birds, he can tell what sort of weather it will be the next day. And indeed, it is not only Terendi who is so wise. Silandi Selech, the innkeeper, in means the hotel. The innkeeper, the market gardener, the shepherd, and all the villagers, generally speaking, know as much as he does. So not only Terendi, but everybody, most of them in the village have equal amount of knowledge as Terendi does. So they all get along with nature so closely that they observe nature for a long time, for many years, and what happened, they know how the nature is going to react by seeing the sunset or by seeing the sunrise or the reactions of the birds. They are able to predict the weather for the coming day. These people have learned not from books but in the fields, in the woods, on the river bank. Their teachers have been the birds themselves when they sang to them. The sun, when it left a glow of crimson behind it at setting, the very trees and the wild herbs. So by seeing the sunset, these people are able to predict the next day's climate. Let me ask you, how many of us are having the privilege to go and watch the sunrise or the sunset? Every day the sun rises and every day the sun sets. But how many of us are blessed to view it, take some time out from our daily chores and go sit somewhere where there is a clear view of the sunrise or a sunset? How does the sun change the color during the sunrise, or how does the sun changes its color during sunset? Will you be able to tell how first orange, probably then red, probably after that dark red in color, then finally it is like it is dipping in the sea. It is a beautiful view, right? But how many of us are fortunate, or how many of us deliberately take some time out and watch all these things? So we have to do that once in a while to appreciate nature. But the country folks are constantly in touch with the nature, and they do have tremendous knowledge about nature and what kind of climate or weather they will have for the coming days. So they are they have got the expertise to predict. Now Danilka looks at Terendi and greedily drinks in every word. In spring, before one is weary of warmth and the monotonous green of the fields, when everything is fresh and full of fragrance, who wouldn't want to hear about the golden May beetles, about the cranes, about the gurgling streams and the corn blooming? So before the summer comes, the child wants to know everything about the spring season, like the gurgling streams. What do you mean by gurgling streams? The streams make noise when they move forward. The water, probably it is lashing over the pebbles and the stone, so it makes some sound. It's the gurgling streams. And the corn blooming, so the corn is blooming in the spring season, and the cranes and the May beetles. So all these things are visible in the spring season, and Danilka wants to know more about all these things before one becomes weary of the warmth. So in summer season it is scorching heat. You will be getting tired. So the word meaning of weary is tired. Before you are getting tired of the blazing sun and the monotonous green of the fields. By that time, the greenery will be a natural, a routine sight for you. Monotonous means kind of boring, everyday sight. So before it becomes an everyday sight, Danilka wants to know more about the spring season and enjoy spring season. The two of them, the cobbler and the boy, walk about the fields, talk unceasingly. So underline the word unceasingly, which means unstoppable, without stopping, and are not weary. So two of them, Terentian and Danilka, they keep talking and they move forward, walk ahead. They walk about the fields, they are talking, and they are least tired. They are not tired at all. They could wander about the world endlessly. It is such that looks like they can wander till the end of the world. Endlessly they can walk and talk. They walk, and in their talk of the beauty of the earth, do not notice the frail little girl tripping after them. So who is left behind? Our girl, the savior, our who saved our Danilka. Fiokla is walking behind with short steps. She is tripping after them. So the meaning of tripping is short steps, or she is just stumbling, or she is taking little small skippings, because she is frail. The word meaning of frail is she is weak. She is not as healthy as Danilka and Terenti probably. Probably she has not eaten anything heavy. Her tummy is empty, right? And she is tired. So she is not able to walk in the same pace where Danilka and Terenti walk. She is breathless and moves with lagging steps. Lagging means slow steps. So she is taking slow steps. Towards midday, all three sit down on the river bank. Danilka takes out of his bag a piece of bread soaked and reduced to a mash, and they begin to eat. So what happened to the bread? It was there in the bag and it got drenched and it is all mashed. Okay, it is not very crispy. It is smashed along with water. We mash it, right? So mash, the mashed bread. It is not very tasty to eat, but they have to have it to survive. Danilka, okay. Terenti says a prayer when he has eaten the bread. Then stretches himself on the sandy bank and falls asleep. So you have to visualize three of them are sitting on the river bank. I would like to imagine in this way. It is up to you whether you want to follow me, or you can even imagine something else about the river. Probably in our class I will ask you what kind of a river you were imagining. Give me a description about the river. Okay, let it be your question. This you have to answer. Describe the river. Imagine that you are Danilka and you have to imagine the river and what are the things going on in your mind while watching the river. So you have to talk about the river. What kind of a river you are watching? What kind of water? What kind of pebbles? What kind of trees around? And also you have to speak about what you were thinking or what were going on in your mind. Okay, let it be one question for you. You have to speak about it. Fine. He has many different things to think of. He has just seen the storm, the bees, the ants, the train. Now, before his eyes, fishes are whisking about. So, lot of fish. Generally, the plural for the word fish is fish, But here we have used fishes because different varieties of fish are called fishes. So the fishes are whisking about. They are moving moving fast. Whisking means moving fast. All these fish are moving fast. And what kind of fish have they seen? Some are 2 inches long and more. Others are no bigger than one snail. So very small. A viper, it is a poisonous snake, viper. A viper with his head held high is swimming from one bank to the other. So these are the things Danilka is watching. Only towards the evening, our wanderers return to the village. The children go for the night to a deserted barn where the corn of the commune used to be kept, while Terenty, leaving them, goes to the tavern. The children lie huddled together on the straw dozing. So what is happening? Our wanderers, that means the 3 of them, will return to the village by the end of the day, by evening. And the children will take shelter in a community barn or in a deserted barn where the corn of the community, commune means community, used to be kept. Now it is not being used by anyone. It is deserted or abandoned by people. That means it is no more used by anyone, abandoned. While Terenty has gone to the tavern where he can have some drink and food, while the children slept on the straw, okay, the dried stalks of the wheat or rice or corn, that is where the children are sleeping, not on a luxurious bed, okay, in a deserted barn, because they are homeless. So that is where they are going to take shelter for the night. The boy does not sleep. He gazes into the darkness, and it seems to him that he is seeing all that he has seen in the day. The storm clouds, the bright sunshine, the birds, the fish, lanky Terenty, the number of impressions together with exhaustion and hunger are too much for him. So what is happening? The small boy is not able to sleep. All the memories of the daytime or whatever he has seen during the day are flashing into his mind, like the storm, the bright sunlight, and lanky Terenty. Lanky means very lean and slender. He is very tall and very slender, right? So lanky or lean Terenty, all these things are coming into his mind, which is not making him sleep. On the top of that, the tiredness, which is the word for tiredness here, with exhaustion. He is so tired, he is exhausted, he has not had good food, his stomach is still empty, and he is hungry. All these things made him stay awake at night, and he is as hot as though he were on fire. So his body was so hot that it looked like he were on fire. Why did we use that helping verb were over there? Generally we use he was, right? But this is something unrealistic. We are telling about something unrealistic. The boy can never be on fire, right? So this is something exaggeration. That is why we have used he were. We generally use like, if I were a bird, I can never be a bird, right? That is when unrealistic things, whenever you are using, you have to use the helping verb were. If I were, or if she were an angel, if she were an angel, okay? So if he were on fire and tosses from side to side, so he could not get sound asleep, and he was moving from one side to the other. He longs to tell someone all that is haunting him. What do you mean by longs? He wishes to tell somebody. Because generally when the children sleep, the parents will come and tell them a story. The children will also talk about everything to the parents, whatever happened during the daytime, about the teachers, about the friends, about the playground, whatever you have done. You have to let out your thoughts to your parents or somebody, your grandparents or parents or your sister, brother. Somebody you have to tell your, if you are feeling something bad, you have to let it out so that your mind is clear. But poor boy in our story is not having anybody to share his thoughts with. So he is kind of agitated and not getting proper sleep. and but there is no one to tell. Fiokla is too little and could not understand. So the sister is too small that she could not understand. So Danilka is not telling anything to Fiokla and thinks that he would tell that next day to Terendi. I will tell Terendi tomorrow, thinks the boy. The children fall asleep thinking of the cobbler, and in the night Terendi comes to them and puts bread under their heads. So the children fall asleep thinking of the cobbler, because he is the only person, the cobbler, whose name is Terendi, is the only person who is taking care of these children and is very affectionate with the children. Just like a reflection of nature, right? Nature is also very helpful. Terendi is also very helpful. Terendi is selfless, nature is also selfless. So you can do the correlation between the nature and Terendi. Like being associated with nature for a long while, probably Terendi would have got all the virtues or good qualities of the nature, right? Even if we disturb nature, nature is going to provide everything for us. So it is high time that we should take care of nature, protect nature, right? And hand over nature as fertile it is to our next generation also. Okay, so there is another question which I would like all of you to write or speak. What are the similarities you have noticed in nature and Terendi? Okay, this is one question I will ask everyone. Now it is seen, so here in our story we have learned that Terendi comes back from the tavern and keeps bread under their head so that the children can have it the next morning. And no one sees his love. He is not doing all these things to get recognition or to let people know that he is taking care of this homeless children. He is not doing any of these things for that cause. Because of true affection and love, he is taking care of the children. It is seen only by the moon, which floats in the sky and peeps caressingly through the holes in the wall of the deserted barn. So there is another thing, another person, we can personify the moon over here, just like a guardian, right? Because the children are not having anyone, so God is the guardian. So we can personify the moon, feeling that the moon is the person or the guardian or security who is keeping an eye on the children and assuring that or ensuring that the children are safe. And he is peeping caressingly. How is he peeping? With a lot of affection through the holes of the wall of the deserted barn. So it is like an abandoned place. It is not highly maintained. There are many holes on the walls and the ceilings, and the moon is peeping through the holes. That is almost like taking care of the children. He is keeping an eye on the children, making sure that they are very happily sleeping.